Alright, hello gamers. Good old Gamersack here, I guess.
Shut your stupid.
And I am back with another For Honor video. But this time, this video is going to focus on the max punishes, or at least some better punishes than whatever this is. For the Guardian in Breach mode. And I'll be going over some of the better punishes I could get for the Samurai faction. All 8 or 9 of them, I forget how many there are. Now I will admit that it isn't the smartest idea to fight the Guardian by yourself in Breach mode. And your teammates will probably yell at you if they have voice chat on, telling you to go defend the rampart or go attack it or go stop the ram or something like that. But if you choose to make this decision, you should at least be dealing as much damage as possible so you can get back to helping the rest of your team in breach mode and stuff. Another thing, these punishes are the safest punishes I could find while still doing a decent amount of damage when you parry the Guardian's heavy attacks or when you block one of his light attacks, because yeah, you can punish him if you just block a light attack of his, since he just awkwardly stands there and stares into your soul and then starts attacking again. Alright, now with all that out of the way, let's start with Kensei. Being the vanguard that he is, Kensei's max parry punish is pretty simple. Kensei gets a dodge for a heavy into another heavy for 52 damage in total. This parry punish is a little weird, but does allow for the most amount of damage to be done, and is completely safe. Next up, Orochi. Since Orochi has a lot of agility, he's able to get away with a lot more than Kensei can. Orochi gets a heavy in any direction into a different side light attack than his heavy, then into his top heavy finisher for 65 damage. However, just after he lands his heavy finisher though, Orochi can avoid the Guardian's next attack by doing a back dodge attack into another different side light attack, and then into another top heavy finisher, and rinse and repeat. Doing the back dodge light attack grants you 1 extra bit of damage compared to doing side dodge attacks, and this combo gets you 56 damage. Adding your initial hits and this safe punish in total, Orochi gets 121 damage. Orochi can keep this going until he either runs out of stamina, or the Guardian pops a bomb, or revenge, or something like that. This may seem pretty good, but trust me, there's other characters in the Samurai faction that can do a lot more than just 121 damage in one go.
Guardian gone.
Shinobi, my favorite character and my main. Shinobi doesn't have as much versatility to adapt like Orochi does, but he can still get away with some things. And no, the punish I showed you at the start of the video is not the most optimal. After a parry or a block light attack, Shinobi can get a heavy in any direction, followed by a different side light, and then into his heavy finisher for 57 damage. Now, by this point, the Guardian will probably be throwing out another move. If it isn't a light attack, good news, you can keep the chain going by doing a backflip, using your kick on the Guardian to get the confirmed heavy, and then into a heavy finisher. The safe punish put together is 35 damage and 44 damage to the Suga Rain Lance. Adding it together gives you 92 damage in total, and 101 damage in total if, again, the Suga Rain lands. That's some pretty decent damage. However, sometimes the Guardian can just be a bit finicky about the kick, and sometimes he can just completely ignore it and hit you instead. So, if you want a completely safe punish, then just perform the first part of the punish and leave it at the backflip. You might need to dodge after the backflip because hitboxes are weird in this game, but other than that, you won't take any damage.
No more Guardian.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Well, if it isn't heavy on Red herself, Hitokiri. You remember when I said some other characters can do a lot more damage than Orochi can, who had the most damage in one go up to this point? Yeah, well, Hitokiri is that character. Just by getting a single parry, Hitokiri can throw a light attack, or probably a heavy now that I'm looking back at it, and keep the chain going until she runs out of stamina, or until the Guardian is dead if she has Nukakubi equipped. Like, when I first tested this, I was completely shocked that this was even possible in the first place. I never knew you could just do this with Hitokiri and be like, yep, done, and move on with your day. Like, it's just insane. She could just completely rinse the Guardian's health bar in just a few seconds by herself. But anyways, other than the fact that she's probably one of the best characters to solo the Guardian with, Hitokiri can also use her fourth feat on the Guardian after a parry. However, I do believe you'll get hit at least once doing it.
No more Guardian!
Next is Sohei, the newest character in For Honor. Like Kensei, Sohei's punish is pretty simple. Sohei can get a zone attack into any sight-like attack for only a small 30 damage in total. So he's probably not the best character to fight the Guardian with unless you have a teammate there with you. Off of a parry, Sohei can also garbate the Guardian, perform dark matching and streak the Guardian by a few inches, and collect souls instead, only giving him 9 damage in total. If Sohei has all of his souls, he can perform his grab move and deal 95 damage to the Guardian. This can further be amplified by his first and third feats, and his previous zone into light attack punish also applies here.
Gotcha! Now wait a minute! Guardian's done!
For Shugoki the Hugger, he can deal some decent damage to the Guardian. Shugoki can throw an uncharged heavy attack into a headbutt and then into another uncharged heavy attack. Add all this together, and Shugoki gets a solid 61 damage in one go. Alternatively, Shugoki can go for a hug, which will only deal 20 damage, but will grant him some of his health back.
The Guardian has fallen!
Alrighty, time for some Nobushi. Nobushi's max punishes were a little weird to figure out at first, but I think this is one of the better punishes I could find. Off a parry, Nobushi can get a heavy into her finisher heavy and then into a kick, leading into another heavy and another finisher heavy and then into another kick. And as you can see, the cycle can keep going until Nobushi runs out of stamina, or if the Guardian says, "Hey, I don't like what you're doing," and smacks you with a face full of hyper armor. If you want the safest punish out there, just go with a heavy into a heavy finisher, and then into Viper's Retreat for 70 damage in total.
No more Guardian!
Weed Master Aramusha is very similar to Hitokiri, but he doesn't have her third feat Nukakubi. Off a parry or block, Aramusha can perform a top heavy into a chain heavy and keep the chain going until he runs out of stamina if he chooses to stop, or if the Guardian really chooses to get hyper armor for no apparent reason. You can sometimes get away with starting the infinite chain with a side heavy attack, but the Guardian seems to sometimes be a bit faster or activate his hyper armor sooner, so top opener heavy works best here.
Guardian done!
And finally, the last character for this video, Kyoshin. Thankfully, Kyoshin's back punch isn't as complicated as some of the other ones are, but his does require somewhat strict timing to land all of the hits. Parrying the Guardian can allow Kyoshin to get a top heavy, which works best, into another heavy, and then immediately after Kyoshin throws that heavy, he needs to enter Kensei stance and throw out the light attack input, followed by the Fujin cuts. But for the last Fujin cut, Kyoshin should throw a heavy instead of a light attack, to get even more damage. His don't attack in Kensei stance is slightly too slow, or at least I wasn't fast enough, and his heavy attack is definitely too slow. So the light attack variation will have to work here. With all that being said though, sometimes the Guardian won't let you go into Kensei stance and efficiently ruin your punish and your day. But it isn't the end of the world, since you only missed out on 22 damage. But with the two heavies and Kensei stance combined all together, that comes out to be 76 damage.
Guardian kill!
And that's all the Samurai solo max punishes for the Guardian in Breach mode. Or at least the best ones that I could find, since I couldn't really find punishes for the Guardian anywhere else. Unless I'm just completely blind, and there's already another video or website out there that lists all of the max punishes for the Guardian. And this video was just an entire waste of time. But let's not think about that. If any of you could find any better punishes than I could, drop them into the wasteland that is my comment section below. It'll be appreciated. And there will be more max punishes for the rest of the factions in the future. I just decided to do the Samurai first since they're my favorite, despite what my chosen faction in the game is right now. But look, I was a Samurai when I started. Winning the faction wars just feel good, okay?
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck,
Is this
man?
serious?
Get your ass on.
But one last tip before you go. If you do plan on taking down the Guardian, wait until you and at least one other person on your team wants to take him down. It's a lot easier to take down the Guardian since one person can just be focused on parrying, drastically lessening the amount of times he pops his mini revenge, and the other person can just be focused on laying into him. This is a lot more effective than waiting for the Guardian to strike every time, parry him, and then throwing out a weak punish, stripping your team of 1 out of the 4 available team members on your team. Even more if someone on your team is dead. Or maybe your team is just winning massively, and there's just about no way the enemy team can turn things around. Then, sure, go after the Guardian by yourself. Anyways, I think that's all I've got to share with y'all today. Hopefully the next video, which will probably be the max punishes for the Vikings faction,
Tell them to bring me my money.
will be out soon. We don't talk about the upload schedule. But with all that nonsense out of the way, I shall see you gamers later. Bye bye.